Hello. Well, here's an article about a group of people who should take a Nobel Prize in hypocrisy. World-class hypocrisy. What a bunch these guys are. Orchestra that refused to play national anthem, accused of woke nonsense. No, it's not woke nonsense here. It's spite. It's really vicious spite. Now, this name here, I looked up the pronunciation and I got Chineke. If I'm pronouncing it wrong, good. The Chineke Orchestra did not play God Save the King at a performance in Switzerland during the period of mourning for the late Queen. A diversity orchestra has been accused of woke nonsense for refusing to play the national anthem. The Chineke Orchestra, we've already read that. At the direction, they didn't do this, at the direction of its founder and artistic director, Chichi Nwanoku. In an email seen by the Mail on Sunday, Miss Nwanoku, 66, wrote the Chineke Orchestra is full of musicians who are not from the UK and many who are the direct result of their ancestors being enslaved. We will not be playing the national anthem in Lucerne. Yeah, well, they might not play the national anthem of Nigeria or the Congo or any of those states, because they were the ones who enslaved their ancestors to begin with and then sold them on to the Europeans on the coast. The Europeans never went into Africa during slaving times because it was just too dangerous. So the orchestra had been invited to play at the Lucerne Festival in central Switzerland just a few days after the late Queen's death. Okay, a 62-strong group of young musicians. It was founded in 2015 as the first professional orchestra in Europe to be mostly made up of people who are black or from other ethnically diverse groups. Yeah, well, they may be ethnically diverse, but they're not too bright and they're not at all polite, grateful or well integrated into British society, I'd say, even though they have received hundreds of thousands of pounds in funding from the Arts Council. That's just the most diabolical, horrible ingratitude. And I'm not talking about them coming from other countries and not being grateful for what they're getting, which they should be, because there are British people who aren't getting these sorts of funding. No, I'm talking about them being British people and not being grateful to their own country for giving them this opportunity. They're talented young people. But it's the Arts Council that has nurtured them and set them on a path so that they can play their musical instruments, so that they can do their practice instead of, I don't know what, digging roads or being dentists. Organisers and the orchestra's young players had suggested opening the performance with the national anthem, but this suggestion was rejected by Ms. Nwanoku, a poisonous viper in the British bosom, by the looks of things, who was given a CBE in the Queen's birthday. Did she turn it down? Apparently not. She was also awarded an MBE in 2001 and an OBE in 2017. This woman is a disgrace. She added, I would be extremely uncomfortable imposing it on people who are not British and who are not nationalistic, and the list goes on. Well, she can't think of anything else. The list doesn't go on. The people in that orchestra are playing in that orchestra under the umbrella of British, whether they're British or not. And they don't have to be nationalistic to give honour to the apex of the British government, which has the Arts Council, which is allowing her to buy nice dresses and a very big double bass, or whatever that thing's called. Hello, Granniopteryx here. Well, of course, I remembered the name of the musical instrument straight after I'd signed off on that video. And of course, it's the cello. I don't know why the name wouldn't come to my mind, but I suspect it's because I had so little respect for that woman that I didn't want to call her a cellist. I just wanted to call her an ingrate, and I probably had the idea of diminishing her by calling the instrument she was using a double bass rather than a cello. All right, well, that's it. Sorry about that. And now on with the show. And then she says that the orchestra marked the death of Prince Philip last April with a minute's silence. A minute's silence from an orchestra. That's good. Maybe they should stay permanently silent. That would show a bit more respect. Many in the orchestra were incredibly upset about being made to do that, with the reason being that the empire is virtually entirely built on racism and the plundering of Africa. Oh yeah, and the African empires didn't plunder each other. There were some African emperors who were incredibly wealthy simply on their raids, slave raids, to grab people to sell to Europeans. Oh no, the British Empire was the empire that put a stop to that. Now, you can't tell me she doesn't know that. She's just picked a hobby horse to jump on, or a gravy train to jump on. You're not making me feel ashamed, Miss Unpronounceable Name. You are a disgrace to your country. You have an African name, but I'm assuming you have British citizenship, and I'm assuming that you have made good use of that British citizenship and profited greatly from it. Just look at the lady. Well nourished, sophisticated, nice dress, well cared for hair, beautiful musical instrument. Actually, reminds me of a comment by Thomas Beecham about a lady, I don't know, is that called a double bass? I'm sure there's another name for it and I've got it wrong. Anyway, whatever it is, the lady was playing something like that. Now, you know, you have to sit in a certain position to play that sort of an instrument. And Beecham shouted at her, whatever her name was, "You're sitting with that God-given instrument between your legs and all you can do is scratch it." And she is scratching at the British people. She is I just keep using the word disgrace. She's a complete disgrace. A Conservative MP, Julian Knight, chair of the Digital Culture, Media and Sports Select Committee, said a group of kids from underprivileged backgrounds wanted to do something and they were stopped by someone upon high who effectively also has a load of honours for work with this orchestra. It seems to be one rule for one and one for another. It smacks of woke nonsense and getting the tone totally wrong. No, it's not woke nonsense, as I said. It's bandwagoneering, it's evil, vicious, spiteful, nasty behaviour. And the worst, it's ungrateful. Just generally ungrateful. And I take great offence to that. All right, I am Granniopteryx. I'm on YouTube, Rumble, BitChute and Minds. I am on Twitter, Gab and Parler as @Granniopteryx. Please help my channel by subscribing, liking and sharing my videos. Remember, YouTube especially isn't good about subscriptions. They drop off, so check that. If you are subscribed, check that you really are subscribed still. And if you want to help my channel financially, buy me a coffee, one of the others below, Subscribe Star, or plain old vanilla PayPal. Okay, well, yeah, that's me, and till next time. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Granniopteryx design or Granbo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.granniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share, share, share.